Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of One Stop Live, your weekly solar news. We are very excited for this episode actually. Are we, Tim?
We are, Didi, because today is special. It's our 20th and final episode for 2020. And today we have two very special guests from Canadian Solar, Michael Rush and Vincenzo Di Gennaro, plus Dr. Sascha Bowenberger, the Managing Director of Bollinger+Grohmann.
And as you probably already know, today with these wonderful people, we'll be talking about PV module clamping zones. So let's dive into it, Tim.
Let's do that.
So let me first introduce Vincenzo Di Gennaro. And the reason why I say it so nicely is because we are both from Italy. So Vincenzo is the manager of technical services and products in Australia and New Zealand. He's an experienced international energy professional who has worked in Europe and the Middle East in the field of renewable energy. He has spent the last 13 years in the renewable energy industry, advising clients on strategy and business initiatives, project developments, transaction, and project execution.
And we're also going to meet Michael Rush, who is the Head of Sales and Marketing in Australia and New Zealand. Michael has extensive experience in module and inverter sales, as well as solar consulting in the Australian and New Zealand markets. Michael has performed sales, country management and business development roles across numerous renewable energy businesses.
Let's jump into the room to meet them.
Yep, we recorded a Zoom today, so let's watch that. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen. We're very excited. You're our last guests for the year, and so we're really expecting some exciting things from Canadian Solar today. So, Michael, welcome.
Thanks, Tim. Great to be here, live from an undisclosed location out on the road in Melbourne as we speak. At least the sun's shining. It's a great day to be live with you and Didi. So we're excited to be here as well.
Fantastic. Vincenzo, thank you for coming, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you too.
It is my pleasure. Thanks to give us the opportunity, to take your customer across here, our clamping zone and wind pressure today. Thank you.
And of course, we've got a special guest today, Dr. Sascha Bowenberger, who is the Managing Director of Bollinger+Grohmann. Welcome, sir.
Welcome, and thank you for having me.
Gents, I'm going to leave you guys to have the discussion today. So I believe, Sascha, you've got a presentation first, and then I'll let you guys run the show from here.
Yes, I will be presenting first. So I will be introducing, giving a little introduction about the clamping zones, which is, can you all see my presentation?
We can indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it is very important, and nowadays the PV modules, solar modules, the footprint is becoming bigger and bigger, and the clamping zones becomes very important to have a successful installation, and also to preserve the module in the years coming. So, well, my first slide is this. I mean, would you secure, your goods? Would you drive your without securing your loads on your ute. You know, when you're driving at 100 k's per hour, you know, and you have your you have your box with 27 or 30 modules at the back. You know, the pressure on the module is 500 pascal, and and so it would be better securing the goods to your vehicle. Well, this is the same should happen with our modules. So it's very important that you secure the module to the racking structure on the roof. Our installation manuals shows the testing loads as per IEC 61215 standard, giving plenty of combination for clamping zone and testing loads. So it is important, and it is important that as an installer and as a designer, you comply with our installation manual. Why is that important? This is important for two reasons. One is that, of course, it's a mechanical reason. So you don't want to see your panels flying away from the roof, causing possibly trouble, and the second is for a performance reason. It's for electrical reason. So the panel, you have to know that the solar cell only has a thickness of 160 micrometer, and there's very little flexibility. So therefore, can't bend much. It is important to comply with the clamping points, because if you don't do so, what happens is that over time your cells within the module are gonna break, and they're gonna cause what we're gonna see micro fracture that over time will affect the performance of the module. So you got two problems here. One problem is mechanical, and the second problem is electrical. In both cases, the designer or the installer, you know, might be they might be liable for failing to meet those conditions. So it's very important that you probably look at this aspect of the design very, very, very well. And yeah, so this is an EL test of a module that wasn't installed as per our manual. So it's showing that four cells are showing sign of fractures. Those fractures will affect the performance, and the system will be generating less power than predicted by the models. So this is we also understand that as the panel and the footprint we said are becoming bigger, and you have constraints on the roof on when to install the panels. We are at Canadian Solar. We are studying a new clamping zone. We are receiving from installers across Australia several requests for an uneven clamping zone. So we are studying different clamping zone at the moment to facilitate the installation on the roof. So we are testing in our facilities in our headquarters. We are testing uneven clamping points, so we can install the left clamps closer to the edge, and the right clamp further away from the edges. And yes, and this will facilitate the installation on the difficult roof. And if you want to know more about those uneven clamping zones that are not yet on our installation manuals, please reach out to our sales team in Australia. I would like to recall you that here in Australia, Canadian Solar, we have 70 people and we are in several locations, and we can support you with your design and with your project at any time. Now, I would like to hand over to Sasha, who in the past helped our customer with a design and installation in complicated and situation. Thank you.
We can. Looks great.
Yeah, great. Okay. Are you recording already?
We are.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Vincenzo, for the introduction and for the topic that you introduced to us to discuss a little bit. Today, we're talking about the wind impact and clamping zones on the solar panels. Just for you to give a quick introduction of our company, what we are doing and what we stand for. So we are a global operating company with a German heritage and German background, but we have offices in Australia, in Melbourne and Sydney. And we're a traditional consulting engineering company with more than 35 years of experience and over 300 employees around the world. And these are just one of our main locations in Germany, Vienna, Paris, Melbourne, Rome, and Brussels. And like I said, we're operating literally all around the world, every continent. We have been fortunate enough to already work on. And so we have a vast knowledge base that we can just tap into. Also, in terms of wind conditions in different areas around the world. So we are quite knowledgeable there and can definitely discuss the solar panel impacts of wind a little bit more. Our main business is structural design, facade design, passive house, and all sorts of different simulations and heritage protection. That was all from the office and our background, and now to the main topic, PVC panels and common issues with installation and wind pressure. So you may ask, why do we have common issues in the first place? Everything is usually designed by the manufacturers, and everything should be covered by the Australian standards and building codes. But there are some open areas still left for interpretation, and obviously our climate also changes. So we know that we have experienced over the last couple of years higher wind pressures and wind speeds than usual covered by the codes. So we have to be a little bit mindful there and react to certain special local conditions. So usually people have in mind that a solar panel is lightweight, can be installed on any existing roof. So this is not quite right, because there are some impacts that have nothing to do with the additional self-weight of a solar system. It has more so to do with the change of the geometry of the roof itself that will cause then issues for the wind itself. And the installation of the solar panels may have a significant impact on the roof structure, but also, as Vincenzo already said, on the panels itself, how they're being installed. So we need to look at how we can design a fit-for-purpose system. Therefore, obviously, there are several tools available on the market in terms of software, but also the codes and standards, they allow us to interpret certain things. And here it's just a map. The wind regions from Australia, the 1172 standard that discusses the wind regions itself. So we have several wind regions ranging from A to D. Wind region A can be remembered as A for all right, B is B for be aware, C is for cyclones, and D is be careful or you dead. So there are very, very strong winds sometimes in certain areas that we have to take into consideration. And it's not only the wind speed that is often an issue, It is also the wind directions, so the orientation of your building, also the landscape and the site conditions. If your building is on a slope, if your building is covered by trees, this all may have an effect on the actual wind pressure on the roof. And also the so-called aerodynamic shape factor, which is a factor that every structural engineer needs to consider while designing the roof structure itself, but also the solar system support frames. So why is this so important? We have the wind pressure that moves around the roof. And towards the edges, we have a significant increase. So it's the gable tips and the parapets where we have high pressures and also suction occurring. And therefore, these areas need to be carefully considered while you install a roof solar system. It is a good practice to leave at least 20 centimeters from the panel edges towards the roof edges. But every country and every region in Australia as well has its own local requirements based on the wind region. So it's good to be familiar with the local codes as well, to be able to install the panels correctly. So we never want to see an install of solar panels like that, where the whole roof is covered with panels. And you can see that the wind has definitely a nice area to attach to, and not only rip off the solar panels, as Vincenzo mentioned it, but also seriously destroy the roof structure itself. So the best way to avoid it is to work towards the safety systems that are in place with the roof edges, and also to have a look at the clamping zones itself. And usually in previous manufacturing manuals, you can find these examples of how to install it correctly. And best obviously is to install it symmetrically with 4 clamps on each edge that will distribute the loads and the pressure on the panels quite evenly onto the roof system. And you will usually don't cause any harms on the solar panel and also on the roof structure. But as Vincenzo mentioned, there are certain requirements in areas not only by the installers, but also due to different roof shapes that we have to consider also an asymmetric installation. And this is where a lot of research goes in nowadays today, also by the companies, to prove for certain scenarios this is possible, and therefore there's definitely for now caution in place, but with discussions of the manufacturers and universities and wind studies, they will be able to provide then a more careful design system with the structural engineering input as well. If you want to know a little bit more about clamping zones and exclusion zones, there are some helpful links that we found of particular interest to us, but also to our clients. You can have a look at these, I guess, during the video. Some structural design actions, as I mentioned, and also wind loads for housing in national construction codes. They cover the basics. Everything else is usually being developed in a discussion by the installer, the manufacturer, and should be also considered by the structural engineer. And in general, if you want to reach out to us to get more information about this and also all of our other services, you're more than welcome to shoot us an email, and we're happy to respond as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sasha.
Now, Michael, I don't know if you want to finish off with some comments.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Look, we just thought it was important. We were getting a lot of calls in relation to clamping zones, and as Vince mentioned, you know, the size of panels. Getting larger makes it more challenging, particularly on tile roofs and things like that. So just trying to give installers a bit of background why we don't just come up with these things arbitrarily and why it's important for them to be mindful of complying with the requirements, or if it's a challenging roof, getting in touch with us and asking, well, can I go outside the clamping zones and what the possibilities are. So, that was sort of the main thing to point out. The other thing is we wish everyone a Merry Christmas. We're coming into the crazy time of year where everyone's trying to get solar on their roof. So people, be safe out there. Remember your drinking limitations and all that sort of stuff, Tim.
I will indeed remember my drinking limitations.
Keep yourself hydrated, but with water, right?
Exactly. And Didi, I think our next webinar will be a discussion about regional food in Italy. One of the
and good cheeses.
And I'm sure all
Vincenzo and I are on top of it.
All the installer public very interested. So, but thanks, guys. Thanks for putting this on. It's a great opportunity to help keep everyone informed and up to date on relevant topics. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Sasha and Vincenzo. It was great to learn about how to ensure that installs are compliant. It was great to learn about the D-rated wind, which sounds very scary. So thank you, and we wish you a very happy Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for those who watch not just episode 2, but also One Stop Live season 1 during the lockdown. We wish you all Merry Christmas, and we look forward to another year full of interesting content with top key professionals from the solar industry.
We just want to send everyone a virtual Christmas card and thank everyone for encouraging comments and shares over the last 20 One Stop Live episodes. Thanks again to all the participants from our many suppliers who have supported the show from across the globe.
And just a friendly reminder, as you can see from the image, we are closing on the 24th of December at 2 p.m. So make sure you prepare your order before. And we are back on Monday, the 4th of January for a new exciting year.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Michael Rush, Vincenzo Di Gennaro from Canadian Solar, plus Dr. Sasha Bowenberger for joining us today. Thanks, everyone. And you're typing again.
Just now. Easy.
Because all that goes through the sound.
Okay.
Okay.
You done there?